will probably use more than one route. And in doing so, they will maximise the benefits and enable you to build packages of support for your pupils in terms of what they really need. And just before I finish, I wanted to say for special and for alternative provision schools, there is additional funding for children who are more likely to need one-to-one tutoring. So this is also available on the National Tutoring Programme website, and you can find out all of the details there. So I hope that's been helpful, and feel free to ask any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate and Gillian. That was really clear. I think the slide's clearer for others rather than for us. But make sure it was deliberately fuzzy and opaque. But no, if not, it'll be done properly afterwards, and people will be able to see it. It's the way we've got the resolution for us to be able to see each other and slides. But very, very helpful. High level. What have we learned about what needs to be closed in terms of gaps? The variety of different streams of programs, and I learned something, so others will have too. And I would just like now for people to ask their questions. A few have just started in the fringes, but this is an opportunity specifically to ask questions of Kate and Gillian. They are not the new Secretary of State for Education, so don't blame them for everything, but do ask them specific questions. And what you've heard there is there's much more flexibility now. And the National Tutoring Programme has a range of different ways in, and it's very inclusive, and it's not targeted on individuals, and schools who know best will know when to do it. One question that's come in so far, and I think actually Helen, who's another advisor for Zen, has answered it in the fringes, but I think it's a useful one to ask is, so are people taking them out of whole class maths and English, or is it being done after school? And I think the answer you'll say, Kate, is it can be either, Victoria. Do either of you want to answer that? Kate?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. But I think my answer is it's completely up to the school. This is a flexible program. You know best. We will not be mandating any kind of program. But Helen's suggestion, I think, seems perfectly sensible. Yeah,
good. Which doesn't surprise me. If anybody got any other questions specifically for Kate or Gillian, there'll be another opportunity at the end for panel questions. So please don't be shy. But if you have, just put it in the chat and we'll see it. And we'll know that you want to ask a question. I'm going to give you 10 seconds and no more to think about it. And then I'm going to come back to Kate and Gillian just in case they want to clarify anything. Kate, Gillian, anything more you want to add?
Nothing further from me.
No, me, thank you.
All right, don't go away, either of you, because we've got questions at the end. And one here from Margaret. School-led tutoring is 75% subsidised. Is there a maximum amount for a school to claim? Kate?
Yes, it's based on the number of children who are eligible for pupil premium in every school. So how this works is set out on the National Tutoring Programme website. But yes, there is a maximum.
But just to clarify, and tell me I'm wrong, that doesn't mean that only children with pupil premium are eligible. It's just the way the formula has been worked out.
So you're absolutely right. So for, yeah, let's clarify that point because it's really important. So for tuition partners and for academic mentors, there is an expectation that tutoring will be directed towards children who are eligible for pupil premium. For school-led tutoring, it is slightly more vague, I suppose, slightly more wide-ranging, which is it is also targeted at pupil premium children, but there is a definition on the National Tutoring Programme website which includes vulnerable children, looked after children, EAL, etc., etc. So again, this is a flexible program for schools to access as they wish, but the school-led tutoring element is a bit more flexible than the previous two routes.
Brilliant, thank you. Any other questions for anybody? Stephen, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just think it's important that we're just for absolute transparency. So there's 3.1 billion worth of investment, and sorry, I said 1.3 earlier in the conversation, but meant 3.1 billion. And within that, the 70%, 95%, and 75% subsidy that is supporting these programs is being funded. So just so we're absolutely clear that whilst that subsidy is really welcome and really important, that the 3.1 billion isn't over and above that already subsidised set of programmes. It's funded within that envelope, or is that's correct? Yeah.
So I can start on this and then Kate,
Yeah.
you can come in. So the 3.1 billion refers to the amount of funding that's been put in on top of all the wider funding for education for kind of specific catch-up things from June 2020, and then February 2021 announcement, and then June 2021 announcement. That in total is 3.1 billion. That covers all of those different programs that I've mentioned, and also many of the programs that I've listed in that link that I put in the chat bar. That includes around £1 billion for tutoring in schools. And then the tutoring in schools program is run with based on a contribution model. And Kate, do you want to come in further on that?
Well, just to say that, Stephen, you're absolutely right. Yes. So within the billion for tutoring, that's how it's subsidised.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I just thought it was important to get that clear, Toby.
Absolutely. We all know how big numbers get lost. The truth of the matter is, though, there is subsidised NTP money. And Helen has put in a note in the side. Zen have got a blog post which will help you work out and use the formula. So we'll send that around at the end as well. So you can actually check what the formula is for your schools. One of my personal worries, and it is a personal worry, as someone who spent most of their lives in schools, is schools won't realise the money's there and won't realise how to use it and won't realise how to take advantage of the 75% subsidy and the other elements and pots of money. And that's why we're running this seminar. And it's really important that the money there is. We could argue forever that we want more and need more, but the truth is there is subsidy and there is money there. Let's just check that any more. Yes, the DfE sent out the allocations yesterday. Thank you, Amanda.
Shall I answer Carrie's question?
Yes, please do.
Which was about the subsidy. So there are 2 lots or 3 lots of subsidy, but if we're talking about the difference between tuition partners and school-led tutoring, so the school-led tutoring is to pay for existing staff in your schools, or for local tutors, retired teachers, as I said, to come in and do some tutoring. And the point of that route is that you know them and you choose them. You can also, if you don't want to go down that route, or if local tutoring provision is scarce, you can use a different subsidy to access tuition partners. So you register your interest on the National Tutoring Programme website. You say what type of tutoring you're looking for, what type of needs you have, and then you are matched up with a range of tuition partners, and then you can choose whichever one you feel best meets your needs. So there are different routes to access different pots of money. It's not that you have to choose between the two. For some schools who are eligible for academic mentors, you could go for all 3.
That's really helpful. Thank you very much. A point from Keith. Yeah, understand, Keith. But there's nothing I can do about that. But completely understand that there are different needs in terms of the formula. Any other questions for Kate and Gillian for now? Okay, we'll just carry on to the next few slides, and then we're going to come back to the end to a panel, and which I want to tell you about. This is to give you some examples of how some schools have used it. So it is telling you a bit about Zen's offer, but it's not sales. It's just telling you one example. So what does it actually feel like? And here's one case study. So you've got an initiative primary school that needed support and tutoring support for special educational needs and for catch-up tutoring. The school wanted to tutor over 100 pupils for both SEN, but had a limited budget. Zen Educate then found 2 highly experienced, qualified with QTS teachers, one with SEN experience, to focus on English and the other on maths. And that helped the school then to leverage both the NTP tuition providers and the school-led tuition grant. So that was, as Kate said, a double whammy. This enabled all the children to receive at least 15 hours of small group tuition. And this programme would have, if you worked out one cost the school 20,000 without subsidies, but Zen managed to get the programme for under 5,700. So it's a good example how working with a partner such as Zen, and there are other providers, but if you use Zen, we will work with you to make sure that you can actually do that. And there's free training and free workshops for it. Do you want to move on to the next slide, Ross? So we provide qualified teachers, and we provide qualified teachers to deliver in-person lessons during the school day for up to 3 pupils. Zen's a social enterprise. It's not there to make huge amounts of money. It provides exceptional value for money whilst paying tutors a fair rate. What's important is the ongoing support and training for those tutors. Most will be highly qualified teachers or have specialist roles and have extensive experience in working with pupils in special schools and schools in general. They're all competency interviewed, and our interviews and our training is designed by high quality educational professionals. We have a variety of different professional tutors, and we have huge expertise in our NTP programme. What's important is that the Educational Endowment Fund and the NTP's own research says that the best outcomes for youngsters are where there's a qualified teacher, and actually in small groups. And that's what Zen does a lot of. Twice the better outcomes using qualified teachers. So I think now's the time to ask for some questions from the group and see what questions you've got. So I'm going to randomly, I'm distracted because the dog wants to go out. That's the problem. So excuse me while I let the dog out. I'm now going to be cold. Trying to be so slick. I'll never be in television, will I? So let's just go through and see what the questions are. So while I was talking and the dog was nagging, I wasn't able to see what questions there are. Have any of the panel read any questions that come up? If they have, put your hand up if you want to answer them, so we don't waste people's time. Kate, go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, I can see a question from B. Thomas about are you able to deliver the sessions on a Saturday for small groups of pupils? I mean, yes, is the answer. There are no restrictions on timing and who to. So that is completely within your gift.
That's really helpful. Thank you. Any other panelists read the things? Because I'm reading it at the same time. That's really helpful. Thank you, Kate. I've got a couple of questions that have come in earlier, so I'm going to read these out, and the panel don't know these. So please, whilst others are thinking of questions to put on. So I think in particular, Kate and Gillian, how do you ensure that adequate safeguarding measures are in place when providing tutors through the NTP scheme? Because obviously schools are hypersensitive about that.
Yeah, absolutely, and rightly so. This is absolutely vital, isn't it, for the programme? So as I said at the beginning, anyone who wants to become a tuition partner has been through a very rigorous application process through Randstad, who are the main provider of this programme. It is worth saying that the majority of people who are companies and charities that applied this time did not get through. I mean, that's how rigorous it is. They went through safeguarding, evaluation, quality, accreditation standards, and we are confident that the tuition partners who have got through have met all of those standards. In terms of the school-led tutoring route, that is very much a relationship between the school and those tutors. So they are likely to be your own teaching staff. So I would imagine that is less of a risk. But again, it's through the school and the tutors that you already know in your local area.
That's really helpful and really honest. And for what it's worth, for those who are on the webinar now, safeguarding is a #1 priority for Zen, and I'm sure for all providers. But I know that in Zen, we have a very rigorous checking process in line with KICSI. We also go through, and all our tutors will go through proper CPD accredited provision. They have to pass that safeguarding training. We've got special training that's been developed by real experts, because it's really, really important that you know those tutors who are working within your schools are safe and have been properly vetted. A question for Victoria: do schools have to demonstrate impact to the DfE? Is there a specific system for reporting impact data? Kate?
So yes and no. We are not collecting impact data directly from schools, but there will, of course, and there has been for year one, an extensive evaluation programme that will look at how schools have spent this money on tutoring and the impact that it's had. So it won't be, it won't be directly to DfE, but it will be via an evaluation that is taking place over the next couple of years.
Thank you. Victoria, do you want to add something there?
Again, I just wanted to add, in terms of whenever we're doing any interventions or any first class teaching, we're always measuring the impact anyway. So we would do that as a head in-house anyway. And just like we do our pupil premium statements and our impact statements, we would follow that exactly that same process, I think.
I mean, another question that came in before, which relates to that, so it's sort of in tune with that question that was asked, was how can we ensure that the NTP tuition will actually impact on our students? So how do we know it will make a difference? And I know from Zen's point of view, that's part of the reason that the majority are qualified teachers. But Victoria, yes, if you can answer that, would be very helpful.
I was just going to add, that's why when we're looking at the needs of the children and the barriers of learning, sometimes it's about making sure you're choosing the exact right children for that intervention. Because if, and I did put on the chat a bit earlier, we're doing a project at the minute, and we started it pre the summer holidays, around which children have got more than one barrier to learning and which children have got 4 or more barriers to their learning. So actually giving those children that extra tuition of maths and English might not be what those children need. They need the help to remove the barriers in order to prepare them for Key Stage 3 and future education, and giving them the life skills rather than that extra English and maths. They might need that in 12 months' time, but at the minute it might be, and that's why we look at our pupil premium children and really unpick why they're on that register, what do they need, how many needs have they got, and break that down. Sorry, Stephen, I know you were waiting.
No, Stephen, Stephen knows I can't do digital hands, so you just have to wave.
Just wave it. No, just again for clarity, the guidance is, I think, pretty clear. There's a section at the bottom of the guidance that says reporting and accountability, and just very quickly it says schools must show how they're using their recovery premium effectively. They should report the use of recovery premium as part of their pupil premium strategy statement, and then it does say that Ofsted will, as part of their inspection regime, discuss how those plans have been implemented. So it's I think it's pretty clear that there is an accountability mechanism, and that you should be able to, school leaders should be able to prepare themselves with a statement and a clear strategy.
Thank you very much. Now, I think we could go on forever, but I'm determined we must finish on time. And I want to thank the panel in particular. I'm really grateful. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Gillian. And thank you very much, Kate. And thank you to all of you for joining. There will be an opportunity to ask questions if you want to afterwards. There is the opportunity for you to, if you're a current school working with Zen, to talk to your account managers, or you can email or telephone. You've got the numbers there. And also, just put up on the screen very elegantly by Ross, you'll also be able to, there'll be a link going in. If you press on that, you can register, and we will hold your hand and make sure you get the best value you can for your school, and the best combination and the best flexibility to meet the needs that you have. So if you click on the link that's come up in your chat, that will automatically take you through and help you book a call or register. But thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for the panel. I've learned something. I'm sure that many of you have too. And this is a really important time for the youngsters that we serve. And ultimately, we all want the same thing. We want to be able to make sure that we close those gaps and do the best. Thank you very, very much for your time. Good luck with the rest of your day. Probably about time for most of you to go out onto the playground. So thanks very much. Cheers then. All the best.